standards, quarterly session. We gave them a good going on down there.
Yeah.
And then, well, I'll say it too loud, that's what people don't know like that. They got that sheet.
Yep.
They got a couple of metal stuff, 6 people spoke. So I actually brought them right over and then.
Yeah.
I don't have to amend this at all, right? I can read it just as it's printed.
Sure. Yep.
Oh, me neither.
What the hell is it for?
Yeah, this here.
This I don't believe it. It's a safety. Where's it? There's no
representation behind
not at all.
Imagine.
You know?
I can't believe it's
I can't either. And
So
to
it
me, it's
shouldn't be
just unreal. Howdy. You made it.
How you doing,
You went up
Matt?
the stairs.
Had some guy, I looked for some guy, never taken off. so.
Michael, is the dog hearing still on tonight?
Yes, they were everyone's been notified, no one's called, cancel or anything.
Oh, I'll try to sign something. I'm sitting here. Sign something. Oh, all right, I think I
I
signed
think
this.
you attended most of their season ones.
Oh, you're in the fencing?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's see what color I giving you. Try and keep off the blue ones and stay with the black ones or the red ones. Just be
Is the board set to start? Everyone all set?
Yes.
Yes.
Board will officially open this Wednesday night meeting. And the first agenda item that we had is a dog complaint hearing, but I don't see the parties here. So I'll accept the motion. I'm sorry? Yes, but the dog officer isn't here, so, well, we would defer the hearing until the dog officer is present, so what I'm going to do is move to go out of order on the agenda until the dog officer gets here. We certainly hope so. We haven't heard anything of the contrary. Okay.
I'll make the motion, we go out of order.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Michael, do you have the administrator's report?
Sure, thank you, Madam Chairman. The first item for the board's approval is late night closings for the month of September. At this point, we have requests from Breakaway Billiards, Old Timer, Ringside, and today we got a letter from Jack's Restaurant.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion, we grant the late night closings with the approval of the police chief.
Second.
Any discussion? The only discussion I would say is that also, as we have done
I would,
customarily,
yes.
anyone else who...
Yes, and
Yes.
anyone else that comes forward.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item is a request from the 150th Anniversary Committee for a one-day beer and wine license to use in conjunction with the Old Home Day to be held this Saturday, September 9th in Central Park. They'll be having an adult block dance on the steps of the town hall. Old Timer will be providing bar services, but they're just looking for approval from the selectmen to do that.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make the motion, we grant the request for the 150th anniversary committee for a one-day liquor license.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is a request from the Clinton Hospital Foundation. They're conducting their annual super raffle for a fundraiser to help support UMass Memorial Clinton Hospital, and they're asking for approval from the town to conduct that raffle.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion, we grant the request for a fundraiser for the Clinton Hospital Foundation.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The Chamber of Commerce will be holding the Taste of the Wachusett Region event here at the Town Hall on November 3rd, and they're asking to hang a banner over High Street to advertise the event beginning October 20th through November 3rd.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make the motion to grant the Wachusett Chamber of Commerce the banner over High Street from October 20th to November 3rd.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
And just an informational item for the board and for the townspeople, the Central Massachusetts Mosquito Control Project will be in town spraying for mosquitoes here in Clinton. Yesterday, September 5th, and the next dates will be September 11th, September 18th, September 25th, and October 2nd.
Okay.
Is that the final spring, Michael?
I believe that would be it for the season.
Frost and whatnot.
Exactly.
Okay, and again, if anyone is opposed to it, Michael, they can get in touch with either this office or the telephone is 508-393-3055. So that's if anyone is objects to having them come into your neighborhood. Okay, I think Steve Mudger just came in. I saw Steve. So we'll go back to our agenda, which is a hearing, a dog complaint hearing for 9 Otis Street. Steve, you want to come forward? Okay, Steve.
Kind of dual issue, it's been going on for quite some time. Originally, probably back about a year ago, I had a hearing scheduled for the case. Due to some circumstances, the hearing was canceled. Until this spring, and then this spring things started back up again. Of course, you know, the summer, windows are open. Mr. Thornbloom's neighbor's dogs left outside. I'm assuming that she works during the day, so the dogs are out all day long, basically with no supervision, and they bark a good share of the day. Probably the worst issue is early in the morning, the dogs tend to be let loose at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, where they run the neighborhood, barking, causing commotion. Dogs usually, you know, are back in. I've left a couple messages on the door. I did speak to her personally and explain to her, you know, the bylaws and that the dogs are supposed to be tied 24 hours a day and that excessive barking is a problem. However, nothing has changed, so here we are before you.
Okay. And Kristen has been notified by proper.
Yes, we did, we sent out a certified notice. The green card did come back. She had signed for the notice. It was first class and certified both. Both of them were delivered, and we got the response card, and she did not call to indicate, you know, re-handling.
Okay, Steve, so I guess just a question for you on all of your follow-ups on your log. Not at any given time were you able to actually find the dog?
No, I wasn't. And, you know, Gary can kind of explain to you that basically, you know, they're out, they cause the aggravation, and then they're usually back in, or either that or one is kind of a roamer, and the other one tends to just stay in the area and then go right back to the house, and the other one may head up, you know, like the new development down there and around, and, you know, by the time I can get there, I can't locate the dog. And I've been down there, you know, trying to get different times, and, you know, when I come back from work or something, I'll run through, or first thing in the morning, or on Sundays. You know, on the Sunday that I did catch her at home, you know, it was early in the morning, and I figured I'd catch her early in the morning. If nothing else, I'd catch her, even if I didn't catch the dogs, and, you know, which I did. You know, and I explained to her, and kind of, thank you very much, if I'm going back to bed. And yeah, wouldn't it be nice? You know, I'd like to be back in bed too.
But the town has actually, through yourself, has never actually issued her a ticket, a violation.
The only time I actually caught the dogs loose, and that was back a good year ago, when I had spoke to her husband, probably a year and a half ago now, when I was actually having other problems in the next street over. And I happened to catch these two dogs, and I spoke to her husband, you know, and they were new to the area, and I explained the rules and stuff at that time. And then basically later on, the issue was mainly the barking. Early in the morning, you know, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, barking non-stop, and that was the main complaint. And I think that is the main issue. And then on occasions, the dogs will be loose. So like I say, it's usually, I think it's the type of thing where she wakes up in the morning, dogs are to go out, she puts the dogs out rather than having, you know, physically going out, putting them on the leash or whatever, and then, you know, 10, 15 minutes later, either brings the dogs in or will leash them in the backyard. So I say by the time I can get down there, they're already either back in the house or they're out back chained. But it's the barking that's probably the, you know, or is the worst issue as far as I understand. You know, Gary may say differently, but, you know, that's the main issue I'm coming before you is the barking. You know, and at odd times, you know, and even at nighttime, 11, 12 o'clock at nighttime, they'll be out, especially on a Friday or Saturday night, when possibly she's, you know, gone out for the evening or something, and the dogs are left out back on their run. There is a run out back of her yard where the dogs, you know, do get tied, and, you know, so if she's out, there's nobody there to put the dogs in, you know, before 10 o'clock, and so they continue to bark till 11, 12. So.
You have had several conversations with her about the dogs and the late night barking, the early morning
Back
barking.
originally when I got on her husband followed me all around the neighborhood when I was down there, because I was down there checking around, and you know, this white truck's following me all around the place, and I knew who it was following me, and, you know, and things kind of quieted down, and, you know, but it's kind of like a game, you know.
But they are aware of the fact that you've approached them
Oh,
about
yeah.
the late night barking, early morning barking,
Oh, yeah,
the
I explained
24-hour
it all to
leash.
her, and
Okay.
Like I say, you know, she wasn't too happy about me waking her up early in the morning, but, you know, I'm not too happy getting woke up early in the morning either.
Are there any questions the board members have for Steve before we bring him?
I have a couple, Madam Chair. Steve, these on 8/5 of this year, August 5th, these 7 hang-ups, is that, who's calling who? It says Gary Thornhill on log here. On the last page of the,
Yep, State, what was your question again?
Well, it says 7 PM hang-up, 7:01 PM hang-up.
Yeah,
Is this him calling the
basically,
police
'cause I
station?
have caller ID, so I mean, I know who calls and, whether they leave a message or not, and I just record everything.
So who was calling you, though? That's my question.
These calls made by Gary.
These are calls made by Gary to you?
Right.
Okay. And there was he's the only neighbor complaining about the barking and the dogs being loose, or?
Correct.
That's what I'm reading from this, okay.
Correct.
That's all I have. That's all I have.
Just to get a clarification, have we issued any citations for them for the dog being loose?
Not for being loose, no.
Because it seems like, to me, it's a combination of both the dog barking, but also that it seems to be running loose.
Right.
Going back a couple of years, it bit other dogs, so there's.
Right, and like I say, Gary can explain to you, you know, when he
Okay.
calls me, usually by the time, you know, even if I'm instantly there in 10 or 15 minutes, you know,
Yeah,
dogs are either back in or, you know, so they're trying to catch these dogs. It's been tough. Like I said, I did catch them once, but that was probably, that was back when the original complaint was filed, you know, a year or so ago. And, you know, some unfortunate circumstances, that meeting was canceled.
I just wanted to get clarification on that. And then two, I find it difficult to rationalize getting a call at 20 or 5 in the morning because of a dog barking, so we can discuss that. You know, I think a more reasonable hour for you to get up there other than 20 or 5 in the morning. I wouldn't expect you to get up at 4:30 to check.
Well, I mean,
on
you
that.
gotta, you know, you gotta verify the fact that, you know, they're barking.
That's, again, above and beyond the call, so I appreciate you even taking that call or being disturbed by it.
And I, just to kind of add, I have spoken with a few of the neighbors, and, you know, they pretty much say that, yeah, the dogs will bark, and on occasions, they will be loose. But not for, none of them said for, you know, major length of time.
Have you talked to this dog owner, similar to the previous hearing, regarding the barking collar, where the dog gets a zap?
Well, at the Sunday morning, the one morning I did catch her, we weren't too receptive, you know, so basically I told her what the rules and regulations were, and
Yeah.
she needs to abide by them. And if not, then she'd end up, you know, coming before you people. And it's kind of gave her a fair warning, you know.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. I've paid several calls, and, you know, unfortunately, I haven't been able to catch your dog, but sooner or later, I'll either catch him or you'll be before the board.
But now you only have to view the dog being loose
Correct.
in order to
Correct.
issue a citation. So
Correct.
the rules have changed to empower you to issue more citations if
Correct.
that dog's, one, loose, and two, barking excessively and not being properly handled by them.
Correct.
Okay.
As for the parking, I don't believe in our bylaws there is any fines that can be issued, you know, just other than, you know, issuing them a statement that, you know, I did several calls, you know, your dog's barking all the time, and usually the parking issues, you know, come before you people where we enforce, you know, the barking collar or, you know, whatever it may take to solve that issue.
Okay. That's all I have.
Jerry?
They are licensed and shots and everything.
Which one they didn't check on? They were. Hold on 1 second. I'll have to check on that. I'm on the
Yeah,
board.
usually it just runs in the pattern.
It's
and they
usually
don't
the
license,
first-
They don't get the shots.
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
usually the
get-
first thing I do though, and it's usually the first thing on my top of my list, and
Yeah.
I did not check into
Well,
that.
usually it's
They
a
have,
whole-
they have had the dogs licensed in the past.
Mhm.
I know last year they were licensed because I went down and I checked on them, and I, probably prior to that was the same thing, so I, you know, they didn't check.
No, I was just curious, because usually it just seems to run in a pattern, and just, you know,
Yeah,
everything
no,
goes along with
They
it.
have in the past, they have licensed it.
Okay.
So I will have to check on that. If that's not, then, you know, that could be one issue of citation to them. You know, I've just been after this marking issue because, you know, to stop the calls at all hours and stop this
Yeah.
issue, you know, I've been kind of, have to stop the barking.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Dean?
No questions.
Okay. Gary, do you want to come forward?
Is this the person
Mary, should just give us her name and address, the secretary.
Gary Thornblum, 6 Otis Street.
Madam Chair, before you take some testimony under the statute, can I just go ahead and swear him in?
Absolutely.
Sir, under the statute, I'm just required to swear you in before you go ahead and give your testimony before the
Sure.
board. So if you could just raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Sorry, Madam Chair.
This has been going on for 3 years. No one's come forward because they're intimidated by the couple. I didn't want to come forward either. I mean, and it's a situation where generally the husband, who isn't living there now, would get up in the morning, would play with them before he went to work. Then at night, and it's a situation that happens on weekends too, that she'll be gone all day, get home late, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, and either they're in the backyard or she lets them loose and they start barking, you know, and that's pretty much it. I found out this year that the dog has bitten 4 dogs in the neighborhood. It's bitten mine twice before. When I confronted her with it, she said her response was that I'm surprised it didn't defend itself. So that's pretty much it.
Any of the board members have any questions for Gary?
Just, I guess, a question of I understand the frustration of dealing with barking dogs and whatnot.
Well, it's a situation where, you know, I'll go to bed and I'm woken up. Then in the morning before I normally get up, I'm woken up again. So on some weekends it's been...
Yeah. What the call log from 8/5 disturbs me a little bit, sir, just in what I would ask for is maybe a sense of courtesy of, you know, several calls within a couple minutes of
No,
time.
I understand that. I mean, I try to, you know, if it happened early, I try to wait late. My dad was ill last year, and he died in November, so it wasn't an easy time for me. And you know.
Okay. Just for the sake of the dog
No,
officers.
I agree with you. You know, and I try to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I never generally.
Okay.
Steve, do you have any recommendation for us? Well, let me just tell you first of all, before you go forward, I can't say that I'm very happy that the owner of the animal is not here, saying that we have sent all the, you know, certified or registered mail, like you said, registered mail, right?
First class and certified both, we did both
Right.
ways. yeah.
And she did sign, so obviously she knew that the hearing was this evening, so as far as I'm concerned, there was no reason why she shouldn't have made the point to be here, obviously, because it is a serious situation, so. Having said that, if you have a recommendation for us, Steve.
Well, basically for the barking issue, I would recommend a caller, just as we did the last hearing. And as for the loose issue, it's probably the minor of them all when the dogs are loose. It's the major thing, I mean,
Well,
unless I'm wrong, is the
yes,
barking. I mean, the
yes.
barking is what wakes them up early and keeps them up late at night. So, you know, and as for the dogs being loose, I mean, I make regular rounds, you know, just for, come hell or high water, I'm gonna catch them loose. You just, problem is, a lot of the time I need to be down there at 5:30 in the morning, and, you know, working late at night and into the night and doing a lot of my calls at nighttime, and just 5 o'clock sometimes, a bit early to get up to try to catch them in the morning. So I would say the main issue would be the dog collars be issued, the barking collars be issued.
I'm sorry, Gary.
No, I'm sorry. There's 2 things. They've got 2 dogs. One's a female, she's the barker. The male is a dog. It's bitten every dog's, and I'm afraid to walk my dog, and I know others are afraid with the dog, the male dog free. He has actually gone up to the intersection of Lorraine Ave and Lancaster Road, and he's bitten a dog up there. So he should never be loose, I don't think. And the thing is, I mean, in the 3 years that they've been there, they've never leashed them in terms of walking them. It's always been let them loose. They'll come back in a while, and it's impossible for them to catch them. I know it.
What I would recommend is, you know, I think the neighbors and the owners of dogs that are being bitten need to report those, because we don't have that record.
Oh, I understand, but they're not going to come forward. They're intimidated by the situation. I know that. I've gone to them myself and I'm questioned. That's why I asked Steve to go by and ask them for themselves. I'm not making this up, and it's like, you
It's
know,
just for, you have to appreciate our position that we have
I
to.
appreciate your position, you know, and I
Based
wish
on
they
the
would
record.
come forward, but I mean, a lot of the people I've known for 30 years there. I mean, I've grown up there. I wasn't born there, but I moved there, and they're wonderful people. Stuff like that has never happened there. In the 3 years this couple has been there, there's more chaos created in those 3 years than the total neighborhood in the total 30 years. And it's like, it happens, but it's just an attitude by the people, and I'm sorry that's happened. And I mean, I really didn't want to come forward either, but no one else would, and it's slid for 3 years.
Well, obviously, a recommendation has been made by the dog officer, and I'll accept a motion.
I'll recommend the collar. You put a barking collar on the dog.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. At least it's a step in the right direction, and let's hope that it'll send a message to them that we're serious about.
Well, I just wanted to, you know, it's like I've been complaining, I've been calling the police. I mean, stuff has happened. My father's tire was slashed. And something more has to happen, that's all, you know. And that's, you know, where I had made several calls. It's just try to get and reach someone. I mean, the police, it's not their responsibility. They got more important things to do. And I'm sure Steve does too, you know, but it just, what do you do?
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
I have one other question.
Yes.
Steve, on the one we banished from town, how are we making out with that?
I haven't checked to make sure that the dog is gone, but I wanted to make
They're
sure.
still barking there
They
today.
had received the letter,
Yeah.
which we're gonna check on that.
Yeah, I was up there today and it was still barking away all day up there today.
Yeah?
Quite a bit of the day.
That could be an issue.
I had a few of the neighbors come to me while I was up there.
It could be an issue.
Yeah,
What type of time frame did we have for that dog to be removed?
it was supposed to be.
10 days,
You
yeah.
know that the letter was issued to them, the dog, Wolfie,
It's either 10 or 14 days, I
Brand.
forget which.
yeah, but I know, you were gonna issue a letter to the Brants up on,
Wilson.
We can talk to him.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
Thanks, Steve.
We had them in the packets.
No, we got
I think
that.
we had him in our package.
We got it,
Yeah,
yeah.
we did, yeah.
Yeah.
on the back.
Thank you.
Okay, the board has a little bit behind here, school zone lights. We have Richard Hart here, fire chief. We also have the police chief and the superintendent of schools. And we'll certainly entertain any discussion. Okay, Richard?
Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to attend tonight. Back in February, there was a traffic committee meeting that I couldn't attend due to other commitments at the new Regency warehouse. Short time after the meeting, I get the minutes of it indicating that there was some changes going to take place to the school zone lights in front of the middle school and the high school. That prompted some research. The traffic lights and the school zone lights have been under the fire department and the fire alarm superintendent for 2 or 3 years now. The changes included several, one of which is operating from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, whether school's in session or not. But that prompted some research into the protocol of the standards for the school zones. I've since found out that there's other issues that should be addressed. I had received a phone call on Friday indicating that Tuesday morning we'd have a traffic committee meeting. 5 minutes to 10 Tuesday morning, the traffic committee meeting was moved till Thursday. If you'd rather, I'll take it up with them first and come back.
No, I
If
just
not,
wanted to,
we can get in one here.
did you say the traffic committee meeting that you missed was in February? Is that what
Yes.
you said? Okay. So that meeting happened in February where they discussed these issues?
Yes.
And did you get a copy of those minutes?
Yes.
From February? And when did you bring that issue?
Within a
Are
week.
you, within a week to who?
Within a week, I was working on a letter. I called the superintendent of schools. He informed me not to worry about it because the Board of Selectmen voted on it the night before and it was final. I did send a letter to the board. I also copied the superintendent of schools on it. I feel it's a liability on the town. It's a liability that I don't want to accept, and it's not the proper way to handle traffic.
Well,
School zone lights are intended for the safety of children. When they're crossing, they shouldn't be on when there's no need for them.
Richard, you know, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, because I'm going to tell you quite honestly, how could you, as a fire chief, think that this could be any kind of violation? And why would you want to compromise the safety of children, potentially hundreds of children in that area at all times of the day, at all times of the night? I don't understand it. I mean, I read my packet, and I'm looking at your concerns, and all I kept saying to myself is, why would anyone want to come before this board and object to these kinds of things? Why? I mean, give me one good reason, because the school zone is too long and should not include the high school. Opposes to 20 miles per hour blinking lights to be on from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The 30 miles per hour signs near the new cemetery are illegal since they are not approved by the Massachusetts Highway Department. Why would you bring up these points? And certainly, I'll tell you from my perspective, you think I'm going to support you on these. I think they're crazy. It's public safety. It's children's safety. What?
We have a problem up there. You in the traffic committee is admitting we have a problem. We're not fixing the problem or putting a Band-Aid on it. If you think that putting in an illegal school zone is going to protect our children, you're wrong.
Well, how is it illegal? How? I mean, what are you saying we should have?
Right now, you can get away with it because of the third grade class in the high school. But the high school will not classify as a school zone.
Richard, why shouldn't we have flashing lights from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.? What harm is that is telling someone who's coming into the parameters of Clinton from 110 that this is the highly congested school area with ball fields, athletic fields? Why in God's name would that be a bad thing?
Put your signs up and inform them on that if that's what you want to do. By turning them school zone lights on and leaving them on, if somebody does get hit, you're offering them a false sense of security. I think there's going to be somebody legally responsible, and it's not going to be the Clinton Fire Department.
What are the parameters? Do you have the parameters of when the lights can be on and off?
Here I've got official standards for school zones as required by Chapter 90, Section 17. And I'll just go into a portion of it for you, not to get into the whole thing. Procedure for obtaining approval. Approval for the use of school zone speed limit signs will be granted by permit from the department to a municipality upon written application setting forth the proposed operation of the sign, which may be permitted to flash and show 20-mile-an-hour speed limit only during the school noon hour, school recess, or during those periods when children are going to or leaving the school during opening and closing hours. I can't get much more explicit than that.
Well, why wouldn't a high school be included in that, Chief?
I can go
The high
back
school's
here.
not included in the school district?
Is that in his stuff?
Due to the age, maybe.
Yeah, it has to do with the
You
age.
don't have to be any age to get run over.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but
School's a school, it doesn't have to do with age.
I agree.
No, me either.
But I mean, even in a school area, we're not just talking per se a school area anymore. We're talking about acres of developed recreation land across the street. I mean,
They're gonna be, even in school hours, gonna be
This was
crossing.
addressed long before the field was put in. The traffic committee had a meeting with Dr. Slavin at the time. They were talking about a tunnel. They talked about an overpass. So it was a problem that was known about before the funding came about for them fields. When the funding was being requested, I think it's proper to assume that they had plans for a proper passage for our children. It seems as though now there's been no passage provision for our children, and we're trying to make one, what I call a Band-Aid approach, by using the school zone lights.
Chief, even if there was a cross bridge or a tunnel, I would still be in favor of reducing the speed around the cemetery and reducing the speed around that school area, because even with one tunnel, to run the risk of having one child or one senior citizen crossing that street to get on the track or to get over to an athletic event, and they didn't take the quote designated tunnel, I am more than willing to take the inconvenience of slowing down to 20 miles an hour for half a mile as I came into town, at the expense of not hitting anybody in the community. And you know, I don't understand the issue with just slowing everybody down in that part of town. And today the access would be crossing the street on designated crosswalks. I think the traffic committee acted, designated the speed limits for that area. And to me, it seems like the safest thing we have as an option today is to slow down. If we don't slow them down, we definitely run the risk of more people being injured down.
And more suits.
And more suits.
I have one. There's a ledge on the side of that bank, and they're coming in. If you're a stranger coming to town, you have no idea if there's a school there. I'd rather slow them down, because by the time they turn the corner, they're on top of it. And they just don't slow down up that road.
I have no problem seeing signs put up, whatever we need, but I don't think that making that 20 is the answer. To leave it on from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then they're talking, they want to leave it on longer if there's a function going on
I
at
would
the
be,
school.
myself,
I
I'd totally
think
go
that's
along
good.
with it myself. I mean, to me, if I can save a life up there or save some child from getting hurt, I'm all for it. I mean, you're gonna get sued. How are we gonna get sued if we don't protect them? We're
I'm
still.
saying protect them. I hope I'm not being misinterpreted
just
here. I'm saying protect them, but let's protect them right. Let's not take a Band-Aid approach and try to use school zone lights, which the police department probably can't even enforce.
They're up there every day, and I come by, they're sitting out there, they're sitting down at the pool, they're sitting up at South Meadow Road. I see them there all the time.
I've hit my brakes as I've come through there.
In fact, one day, I was up there, and there was a state police up there, and he was pinching them left and right, he had them lined up, coming through there. I mean, I seen it with my own eyes. It was just, he had them lined up out there, I don't know what he was doing, but he just came along, and he just started grabbing them. You know, if I could have tooted and gave him a good clap in my hands, I think he would appreciate it, because I appreciated it.
when you say it's merely a Band-Aid approach, just to save a few dollars, what do you mean by that, Richard? I mean, you don't think that the
There should be a
Chief
set of-
Levenger and the town administrator and Paul Lowe, who's the chairman of the traffic committee for years, and gives a lot of his time as a private citizen, are not responsible people, and are looking at this as a Band-Aid? I mean, are they all wrong and you're right?
Mary,
Richard, I just...
I'm telling you, it's not the right way to do
I
it.
just can't see where you're coming from in this. I really don't.
it's not the right way to do it. There should have been a set of traffic lights there that are red, stop the traffic when the children need to cross. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, but you're always gonna have someone running across that street, that's the problem. You can't put the red light on every time someone's gonna cross the street. You got fields that are gonna always be in use.
If
When
we
you
want
get
to do a
that
study,
corner
you're
coming
going to
over
find that, in fact, we've been in school a week or two here, and I don't think you've had a person cross yet. The fields aren't even open.
They
There's
can,
no
Talking about what
sidewalk.
There was tons and tons of children
Middle
up
school,
there.
every period yesterday had phys ed classes across there. I was there
Across the way.
myself, I experienced this, I witnessed it. I gave you other witnesses who were there yesterday. The middle school children were using the track yesterday.
Okay, well, I take that back, then I was up there today, and there's nobody over there other than construction workers.
So, Chief, do you have a recommendation? What's the,
I think they ought to take a
should it
look.
be 20 miles an hour all the time? Just post 20-mile-an-hour signs and do away with the flashing lights during most of the day?
Whatever you do with the speed, I think it has to go through the state where.
Do you think the state would frown upon us dropping the speed limit to 20 miles an hour there?
I think that's something you'd have to address with them. All I'm saying is I want to see it done right. Not taking the school zone lights that have an intended use and extending them and using them in an improper manner. There should be a set of traffic lights there. If they have to put in infrared detection to detect the student standing there, put it in. There's probably state money available if somebody researches it. We've got an intersection down at Main and Church that, due to the efforts of your board, I believe out of Chapter 90, you're paying the engineering costs, and the Commonwealth is going to put in the traffic lights.
yeah, but, you know,
I think if
No.
we
I'd like to answer that.
take a look at that and pursue some of that, I think that's more of a permanent solution.
Yeah, but the only thing is, Richard, I've helped push this through. It's been over 2 years. I still don't have the lights down there. I can't wait 2 years up there. It's been over 2 years I've been waiting for them things. As I pushed this through, I talked to John McLaughlin, he asked me if we couldn't help out and get this through here, and I did. It's been over 2 years now. I can't wait 2 years up there. It may be a fix, but I can't wait 2 years for this.
It's been 2 years since the traffic committee met and discussed it with Dr. Slaven.
No, but I'm talking about the lights down here at the fire station. They're gonna put traffic lights installed. It's been 2 years now. I've been waiting for these lights, and I have not seen them yet. I know they've done test borings, they've done change it, they want to rechange the islands and stuff. But it's been 2 years. I can't wait 2 years up there to get this done. Right now, this is working. I gotta do something.
Can I just go back again to the traffic committee, because this does trouble me, because I know that this was a meeting back on January 20th. We received the letter from you, and I do recall the letter on February 11th. But I know that the traffic committee has met numerous times since that meeting. And being a member of that committee, which I know that you wanted to be removed from, that any of this discussion never came up after this January 20th meeting? I mean, I'm just astonished that it became an issue on September 5th, or September 6th, excuse me, at a selectmen's meeting, when you, as sitting member of this committee, that you didn't make the meeting, but you chose to respond to what transpired to the Board of Selectmen, as opposed to going back to the board that you sit as a member of.
I've got a fire alarm superintendent who was informed in February, we're all done touching them school lights, we want nothing to do with them. After repeated calls from the school department, he went up and changed them. To me, he should be disciplined. And I believe I have the authority to do it if I feel I have to. I wasn't aware that it was going to be done on September 5th, or when school started. And if it was, if somebody else wanted to do it, fine. But I'm not going to have a fire alarm superintendent that's going to
Oh, now, Richard, you know, now you're going in another direction.
Well,
You came
I'm telling
here-
you, he was
what-
told not to
listen,
do something,
What
he
I'm
did it.
saying to you is that what I just said. You're supposed to be a sitting a sitting member of this traffic committee. You previously, a few months ago, wanted to get off the committee.
You got the letter right there, I believe.
Well, wherever, and we were told that we wanted you to stay on that committee. Now, what I'm saying to you is, you communicated to us back on February 11th. You chose not to communicate with the members of that traffic committee about these issues, but rather you decided to come here before us. You're not going to get any support from me. I support the traffic committee. I'm only one member of this board, I'll tell you, but I'm going to support the traffic committee because I believe that they moved in a very responsible manner. Now, if you had concerns, you addressed concerns to us in a letter. Did you never, ever go to another traffic committee and bring your issues up to your fellow members on your traffic committee? You started off by, do you want me to defer this, and they're meeting on Thursday, so I'll go to them? You waited all of these months until the school opens and the field is being used by children?
We've had maybe 2 since then. I usually get a call, similar than I got this trip. I got a call Friday afternoon. A message was left on my recorder. We're meeting Tuesday at 10. I get a call at 4 minutes at 10 Tuesday morning. Oh, the meeting's canceled as I was leaving the office. We're gonna have it Thursday. So they're last minute meetings for one thing. There's no administrative staff down there. I take care of all the meetings, all the outside stuff. I'm not in a position to drop what I'm doing all the time to go to a traffic committee meeting, and they've had maybe 2 since. I haven't received any minutes from any other meetings.
So you didn't attend those 2 other meetings?
Right.
I did, and there was nothing brought up. Mark did.
Chief,
Be the
maybe,
traffic committee meetings.
maybe you need to designate a person to start attending these meetings in your stead if you're not going to be there.
No, he is the person that's supposed to be there.
Well, I mean, if he's not
Dean-
making it, he has no input at all.
Well, Dean, then he should make himself available. It's the way it's set up,
That's
and
fine,
that's when he
I
should be
agree,
there.
I agree.
Fire chief.
If these issues are that important to come before us, then they're issues that should be addressed to the traffic committee.
I agree.
Well, I don't know if any other board members have any other. Again, from the perspective of some of the issues that have been brought forward, I guess I would defer to our legal counsel, but
Madam Chair, I believe the chapter that the chief had cited was Chapter 90, Section 17, but that really only refers to, regarding school zones, to Chapter 85, Section 2, which does outline a procedure. I think as a practical matter, what would seem to make sense here from my recommendation would be that we adhere to the traffic committee determination and then the board's adoption of that determination. And if there's any need to go through the Department of Highways, that we contact the Department of Highway and make sure that whatever is done up there is proper to comply with the statute and the standards of the Commonwealth. But obviously I realize that everybody's concern, the most paramount concern for everybody is the safety of the children, so it wouldn't make sense for me to recommend to not do what they're recommending if they think it's in the best interest of the children. So I would recommend that we adhere to their suggestions and your adoptions of those suggestions, and then if we need to go through the Department of Highways, that we do that. I think that that would be an appropriate function of both the fire chief and certainly the traffic committee to consult with the Department of Highways to make sure that we're complying. And I think that would be the appropriate forum to do it in.
I'll make a motion, we wait for the traffic committee meeting and then go in under recommendations.
no, I think that's all,
I'm
that's all
sorry.
been forward, but
All
I
right,
think
on
what
the,
we're saying is that we go forward with the recommendations, conform to the recommendations that we've already voted
done,
on,
okay.
and then just proceed for, to get an opinion from the state as
Yes,
to...
and if you would like, I have no problem with submitting the documentation to the State Highway Department and asking them if we're complying with their standards and dictates if you want me
So I'll
to.
accept a motion that we move forward in the direction that's been advised by the legal counsel.
I make a motion that we direct the town solicitor to contact the Department, the State Highway Department for acceptance or clarification of the speed zoning recommendation that was given by the traffic committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. I don't know if you...
I think if you look under 9018, Dennis, it allows the Board of Selectmen to make special procedure, it's a procedure that you have to go through, but you can make special speed limits for unique situations under 9018.
I agree, there is a Chapter 9018 that I have reviewed, and that coupled with the other statute, I do think that the prudent thing would be just to have it reviewed by the State Highway Department, just to make sure that everything's being done appropriately.
And we will also, as the solicitor said, we will proceed with the adoption of all of the criteria that came before us on the previous traffic committee's recommendations back in January. So that will stay as is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, old and new business. Michael, do you want to just speak on these? This is a
Sure.
request for streetlights.
Sure, we had a request from the developer, Stonebridge Circle, which is off of Fitch Road, for permission to install one streetlight at the intersection of Fitch Road and Stonebridge Circle. This is a requirement that the planning board has asked the developer to do, to put a streetlight inside the development, but also one right at the intersection where it's quite dark. He can put the one on his own subdivision without any problem, but to put it on Fitch Road, he would need the town's permission to do that.
Okay. Now, he is, question, these are going to be his lights and he's going to pay for them?
Right.
No cost to the town?
Right. Yeah, it's just that where it's going on the pole on Fitch Road, it needs.
Right, and he's going to maintain them?
Yeah, I mean, they would be, I would have to make sure we work out that billing that it is billed to him, but they are his, it's part of that subdivision, the town hasn't accepted that subdivision, so.
So he's gonna maintain them and light them and everything else?
Well, we can make that, that can be part of the motion.
Yes, okay.
Right.
I make a motion that we grant the permission for the Stonebridge Estates to install a new streetlight at the intersection of Stonebridge Circle and Fitch Road, with the stipulation that the developer maintains,
Lights them, lights them too.
purchases and maintains that lighting equipment.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item, I think maybe we'd like to have the police chief come up and address the board on. The chief is looking to enter into formal mutual aid agreements with area towns, and he's asking the selectmen if the selectmen would approve that form so that he could then engage other communities and have other communities' officers sworn in as special police officers in Clinton and vice versa.
Chief?
Good evening. Yes, what I'm looking to do is getting signed mutual aid agreements with the surrounding communities. I believe we do have them. Most departments probably can't find them, they're so old. This is an updated version. Town of Lancaster has approached me. I was talking with the Berlin police about it, and I think it's time that we approach each town and get it done right. It's more of a housekeeping issue. I don't know if you have a copy of the mutual aid agreement. That's pretty much a boilerplate mutual aid agreement across the state. And we should probably swear in all the officers from the surrounding towns as specials. We probably answer approximately 250 mutual aid calls per year, the town of Clinton to the surrounding towns. And vice versa, they come over and help us when we need help.
Yep. This way it'll just cover us under the law too, that they...
Yeah, it covers us liability-wise,
Yes,
and
yeah.
in case there's any, it's a rare thing that on a mutual aid that we make an arrest, but it does
Yes.
happen on occasion.
Very good stick.
It's mainly a traffic control issue, or someone that's out of control, we're helping restrain them.
Sure.
Or we take a call that they can't answer because they're tied up on another call.
Chief, is this a form letter, or was it written by our town solicitor? How?
This right here is pretty much a boilerplate mutual aid agreement from the state. Town of this is the same one the town of Lancaster had sent us, the one that I was looking at to do with Berlin and the other towns. I think this one came from Lancaster, Copeland and Page.
Any other questions for the chief?
Mark, I have a couple. On the liability, am I reading this correct? Is this state mandate on liability that they're sending community. We're reliable, so, I mean, liable. If someone, we send Clinton police officer to Lancaster and they get hurt in Lancaster, we obviously would be liable for them, right?
Right.
Vice
Right.
versa, right?
If our officer gets hurt in Lancaster, on a mutual aid in Lancaster, we still pay him. We pay for his injuries,
Same
and we
thing as
accept any
Lancaster.
liability if he makes a mistake. Same thing, Lancaster comes over there, they own their people. Everybody takes care of their own people.
Okay.
Any other questions? It's the pleasure of the board.
I'll make a motion to grant the request that as many officers as you want to send down to Lancaster, and I'm going by this sheet, that's all I got, is to have sworn in down in Lancaster, and vice versa, whatever they want to send to Clinton. And the same with the surrounding towns.
Okay, this is going to, as
I
you
just
realize,
wanted
it's
to-
going to be kind of a, take some time. Each town's going to look at this. They're going to have their town solicitor look at it, review it, and then it'll probably take several months to get this accomplished, I'm
We
sure.
had this, I want to say, back in the early 50s, I know this was a lot of, the surrounding towns could act in Clinton, and the same with some Clinton over to Bolton and all the different towns around.
Yeah, there are mutual aid agreements that have been signed. I'm going to say they're
They're ancient.
over 30 years old,
Yeah.
probably.
So your motion would actually be to enter into a formal mutual aid agreement with the area.
Area towns, yeah.
Okay. Is there a
But I mean, like
second?
right now, as Lancaster's all ready to go, and as many as you want to send down, and just,
Right.
yep. I mean,
We're all
that's-
set with Lancaster right now.
Yes, okay. And then just the rest of the towns, and when they all agree, and then that's
Right.
fine with me.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, and on the streetscape, Mike, well, that's just a follow-up. We did walk High Street, and the town administrator, Michael, and town solicitor and community economic development director, Claire O'Neill, will be meeting with Dufresne Henry and Ace Construction on 9/11s in Boston, so we'll update everyone as we go along on this, but this is an ongoing situation.
Based on yesterday's walkthrough, Mike, you feel comfortable with the input from everyone on the board? You get a good feel for what we've
I think we burned their ear off.
Yeah, I think myself and the engineers, I think,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they got the picture.
They took a lot of hits.
Okay, on committee reports, I'd just like to talk a little bit on the 150th anniversary. The next celebration is Old Home Day in Central Park, and that's going to take place September 9th. And I believe it starts at 10 a.m. and will run through 10 p.m. And at 12 noon time, we'll have the rededication of the Foster Fountain. And Senate President Thomas Birmingham is going to be the keynote speaker, and we're very pleased that Tom is going to be with us. And I hear the weather report is calling for, the weatherman is calling for a terrific day, and the committee has worked very hard, and they've got some wonderful things planned. And again, Dan Young has come to the plate, and he's got some wonderful things planned for up at St. John's, and we've got a lot of vendors, a lot of food, a lot of entertainment, so we hope that everyone comes and has a great time. And
Tickets for the ball?
tickets for the ball, that's my next thing. And also, again, Ruth Kamataris and Donna Merriman are the co-chairs, and a lot of the 150th Parade Committee members are involved in that. And this evening, the tickets for the 150th ball, which is taking place on October 21st, that Tina Sapantis and Donna Merriman are the co-chairs, and Julie Moran, I believe, is also involved in that. The tickets went on sale this evening. They're $30 a ticket, and it's a choice of, I believe they have 3 choices. It's a sit-down dinner, they have a terrific band, and it's going to be a terrific night. So there are only 300 seats available for that in the auditorium. And they're also selling tickets for the balcony, so they were on sale this evening. They are going to be on sale Saturday at the Old Fashioned Days in Central Park, so it's going to be a terrific night and a great finale, so we hope that everyone comes out Saturday and enjoys themselves. Did I miss anything?
Nope. You don't have the menu.
Yeah, I don't have the
Yep,
menu.
you know,
but
you better just leave it.
Three great choices.
You got it.
They've done a
Yeah.
terrific job, so. Any other committee reports?
Madam Chair, just under committee reports, tomorrow, the Building Surplus Subcommittee is meeting at 5:30 in the chamber, actually in the conference room. So I just want to know it's an open meeting, anyone want to welcome to attend.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee reports?
Not a committee, I was going to want to take back that old and new business.
Sure, absolutely. Old and new business.
Just to-
Backing up a little bit.
Backing up a little bit, under new business, if we could schedule a time to bring the DPW superintendent in so that we can begin discussions regarding that water tank on Birded Hill.
Absolutely.
I continue to get calls regarding that, so I'd like to hold that discussion. I know we talked a month back
Absolutely.
about
Giving
water
you
quality.
good background and stuff, yeah.
So if we could schedule to have him come in and talk about what we're going to do regarding that tank and evaluating its status.
Okay. So we'll, you want to shoot for that for the next meeting?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Hopefully have discussion on that on September 20th, Mike?
Okay, sure.
All right, and also just the Mass Department of Revenue has we've officially received correspondence that our additional money is going to be in the amount of $262,306 in additional lottery money, and that's good news for us. Okay. Public comment?
Madam Chair, I have a letter I'd like to read under public comment. This letter was from Representative Harriet Chandler to the Chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Paul Haley, and the letter reads, Dear Chairman Haley, I'm writing to support the request of my colleague, Representative Harold Naughton, that Senate Bill 2129, which is an act amending an act authorizing the Division of Capital Planning and Operations to convey a certain parcel of land in the town of Clinton, be released from the Committee on Ways and Means and be scheduled for floor debate as soon as possible. The letter is dated July 24th. This legislation would allow a 48-acre plot of land in the town of Clinton to be used as a site for the construction of a water filtration plant to be built in compliance with the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act. As a result of this amendment, the town of Clinton would be able to apply for a $10 million interest-free loan. This important legislation would make possible the construction of a water filtration plant on land that the Commonwealth has already transferred to the town of Clinton. As a legislator from central Massachusetts, I urge the committee to release this important bill so that it may be given the opportunity for the required roll call vote of each branch before the end of the session. Thank you for your time and consideration of this request. Please do not hesitate to contact me for any additional questions. Sincerely, Harriet L. Chandler, State Representative. Now, this was obviously in support of a bill we needed passed to get that water filtration plant on track. I want to thank Representative Harriet Chandler for that.
I do too. It's very, very nice to help out and get that pushed in.
Madam Chair, if I could just briefly comment, I appreciate the support of Representative Chandler as well, but I feel that there's some politicking going on, and it's probably not appropriate. We have a debate scheduled for tomorrow night that both Joe Early and Representative Harriet Chandler will be here in town, encourage the community to come out and see both candidates, but we appreciate her letter, but reading it in public like that, I feel was petty politicking.
We'll move on.
The support wasn't petty.
Absolutely not. I agree with you.
Okay. Support was there, so.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other public comment? Okay. The board has executive session under Article 3, the Clinton Fire Union, and then we will have executive session under Article 6 under NIPRO land sale. I believe that'll be an update by town solicitor. So I'll accept a motion to go into, we'll come out of one and go into the other, so we'll move on both executive sessions,
I'll make a
Article 3
motion.
and Article 6.
We go into executive session at Article 3, and then go right on to Article 6 after that.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
requires a roll call vote. Mark Akabucci?
Aye.
Mark Elworthy?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. We'll be in executive session for, I don't know, they all went through, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say
Meeting here?
45 minutes.